For 20 plus years, award-winning chiropractor Dr. Kelly Henry has helped patients achieve and live healthier lives. With a foundation of exceptional customer service and streamlined business procedures, Dr. Henry grew his business into one of the top producing chiropractic clinics in the nation with multiple locations and doctors. But after retiring from private practice in 2018, Dr. Henry has dedicated himself to consulting and coaching business owners on how to create incredible growth and profits using the processes and procedures he used to create phenomenal success in his own offices. Kelly, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, I always start by asking everyone, Kelly, where are you in the world today? And also let us know about a hobby that you like to pursue when you're not working.
Well, I am in the Dallas, Texas area, Argyle to be specific, which is just west of Dallas. And I have recently, or back in the summer, started playing golf again. I had about a 10-year hiatus from playing golf. My youngest child is a senior in high school, and he'll be off to college next fall. So I figured I needed to find something to get me out of the house, and so I'd stop irritating my wife. So I've started playing quite a bit of golf lately.
All right, nice. Well, you know that is bad on the back as a chiropractor, so you got to be
It is.
You got to be careful, but you're going to keep your other colleagues in business if you don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
I do get adjusted regularly, and my buddies I play with, they come over and get adjusted for me, so I keep them all in shape.
Nice. Well, listen, you were a chiropractor for many years. I have seen personally firsthand as a patient how labor intensive that profession is. I saw it with the doctor that I like going to for years. Like everyone loved this guy, right? And they wanted him. And at some point he probably got burned out or decided, I can't do this all myself. And he started bringing others on. So there was that transition period where he had to say, hey, I'm not going to be the guy working on you anymore. It's going to be this person. And you're like, whoa, so literally an adjustment, figuratively as well. But I wanted to, ask kind of what made you decide to go from practicing over several decades to focusing more on customer service when it came to the chiropractic?
Well, a great question. And a lot of what you just said is what I felt and dealt with. I had a high volume practice. I saw a lot of patients, 350 to 400 a week personally, and then had my other doctors helping out to some degree to do as well. Very labor intensive, and I was starting to feel the effects on my body. I was able to buy out 2 practices as I was working through my career, and both these practices were from older doctors who were in their 60s that really, unfortunately for them, it got past their prime. And they really had nothing left. So, that was good for me to buy them out, but they weren't, I was buying things for a penny on the dollar. And I made a mental note, and I said to myself, if I'm going to retire, I'm going to retire and sell out when I'm at my peak and at my top, and not let things dwindle down to I have nothing left to sell out. And so I was able to do that in 2018. Now, the reason I transitioned into coaching and consulting on customer service is customer service was a foundation principle of my practices. And I basically just backed into them. I practiced in New Mexico for 20 years. In the particular area where I practiced, town where I practiced, smaller community, most of the businesses had been around for years, and customer service wasn't really necessary for them. They could flip on the lights, open the door, and then they could, you had to do business with them, and they could treat their customers, their consumers, however they wanted. And that bothered me. I hated that. So I just made a conscious decision within the first few weeks when I was in started practice in New Mexico, that my clinics were going to be different. Not because I thought I was going to help grow my business significantly, just because, we're just going to be we're going to have a different style. And as that happened, my patients were like, hey, we love coming here. You treat us so nicely. We're getting positive feedback. And I, made me think, hey, let's start doing this better. Let's figure out how to make it even better for the patients. And that really is what stimulated this 20 plus year journey of understanding, learning, implementing, improving it. I've been coached for many, many, many years too. Business coaches, personal coaches. And so I saw the impact on my business and my personal life from a coaching standpoint. So when I retired, I saw the impact of customer service, and I saw the impact of coaches on my life. So I just meshed the two together, and here I am.
Nice. Well, I love the fact that you said you were really intentional about it from the early days. I think a lot of business owners, whether you're a chiropractor or a web developer or whatever, make the mistake of focusing on their craft. And a lot of people assume that, well, I'm the best in town, I'm the best chiropractor, so naturally people are going to come to me. And I think there can be a little bit of a hubris or an ignoring in the fact that basic standards of customer service still apply. Can you talk about what makes customer service so vital to any business in that regard?
Absolutely. And I talk to clients about this all the time and prospective clients. And when I'm doing presentations, like you just mentioned, you could be the best chiropractor, the best web developer, the best whatever, fill in the blank. But if your customer service stinks, it is going to detract from your business and you're going to suffer because of it. You could be, and I'm not advocating this, but you could be a mediocre chiropractor or web developer or, fill in the blank again. But if you have great customer service, you're going to have a better business, in my opinion.
Yeah. How do you
So
define that exceptional, better level customer service?
my easy definition is to have a relentless focus on the consumer, the customer, the patient every time they're with you to make them feel their best. That's your goal. You want to drive how that customer feels, make them feel valued, special, important, like a rock star every time they're doing business with you.
Nice. I used to feel that when I would go to my chiropractor as well, even after the transition I mentioned, where he wasn't the person usually either in the office or doing the work physically. But every time I walked in, whether it had been weeks or sometimes even months, they would remember me by name, which is very, easy. Well, not necessarily easy to do, but a great, first step to greet
Absolutely.
somebody by name. Obviously remember what your issues are, because that's probably the biggest challenge I would imagine is you get, like you said, 300 something people a week walking through any hour of the day, right? They're on their schedule, but you're exhausted. You're on your schedule, but you have to treat each person that walks through with the same level of courtesy and respect and attention and enthusiasm and et cetera. And I imagine that can get hard. I saw a lot of this person's staff burnout as well. Can you talk about that? How you motivate those frontline people, especially in a healthcare type situation, or anything that's heavily face to face and also physical in some cases, like chiropractic. How do you motivate those people to stay engaged and keep that service level up when you're not in the room?
There's two ways to do that and need to be done. First of all, you have to treat your employees like they are the most important people in the world too. You need to treat your employees like you're going to treat your customers. They need to feel valued. They need to feel important. It's ridiculous to think that you can treat your employees terrible and then expect them to turn around and treat the customers with all kinds of fanfare and treat them respectfully. It just doesn't work that way. So you have to set that up first of all. You have to make them feel special, important, valued each and every time they're in the business with you. And in turn, that creates loyalty to you, to the business. And then they can see how they are being treated, and it's easier for them to treat and turn around and do that. That's really important. The second thing that you have to develop is having proactive customer service, not reactive customer service. So reactive customer service is a lot of what we see in our everyday lives when we're doing business with whatever business, and it's reactive in the sense that maybe because it's Friday the employees are going to be a little happier, or because they're having a good day, or because the sun is shining, or because I'm in a good mood as a consumer, they're going to treat me a little better. You can't rely on how you feel and the circumstances of the day to provide great customer service. Proactive customer service is having a focus on, it doesn't matter what's going on in my life, what's going on around me, what's going on, in the weather, what day of the week it is. It's a focus on, I am going to be the best part of that customer's day regardless. And that should be the single focus. Hey, we're here, and that's the mission statement of my clinics, or was the mission statement of my clinics, and what I recommend to be the mission statement of my clients is, let's focus on being the best part of the customer's day each and every time they're with us, and be proactive in that. If they come in upset or unhappy or not smiling, let's try to put a smile on their face and let's be the best part of their day. If they come in smiling and joking, let's even take it up a notch. So being proactive instead of reactive in the level of customer service you provide is a huge key to being able to have your employees focus on that and do it regularly and be consistent with it.
Did you ever find that you had to do some basic empathy training or provide that to some of your clients and their staff? Because some people lose sight of that, unfortunately. Just the little things, like you said, Kelly, if you walk into a chiropractor's office, as I have before, not typically the one I dealt with because they were really good, but other places you walk in, they don't look up, or they're on the phone talking to somebody else, and you're like, I'm actually standing here, I'm ready to go, and you're dealing with this person on the phone, so that's not good. And then secondly, I sit there and then I don't get hey, I'm so sorry, give me a second, I'll be right with you, that type of thing. What do you teach people about basic skills of empathy and common sense when it comes to customer service?
Well, like you just said, if that's one of my pet peeves, someone being on the phone and paying more attention to somebody that's there in person. So, you can acknowledge them, you can wave, you can smile and acknowledge them and then get right to them. So again, that like I said, that's a pet peeve of mine. As far as the empathy factor, you teach your employees to understand that you need to put yourself in their shoes. So from a chiropractic standpoint, patients coming in, a lot of times they are in pain. Mm-hmm. And when you're in pain, it's pretty hard to be in a good mood. And that patient is not upset with, the employee when they're coming in. It's not that they're irritated with them. It's just, I'm in pain. I've been hurting all weekend. My back is sore. I can't get relief. I need some help. I'm not in a good mood. And so that employee needs to put themselves in their shoes. And again, it goes back to that proactive. Hey, this person is in pain. My job is not to react to that. My job is to help them get for their adjustment as quickly as possible, to empathize with their pain and do anything I can to make them feel comfortable and help them and serve them any way I can. So that's a key. Just project yourself into somebody else's shoes and try to look at things from their perspectives is a huge key to having that empathetic relationship.
Yeah, not only that, I remember before I ever went to a chiropractor for years, I was just deathly afraid. At some basic level, like they're gonna break my back or whatever. Like I don't trust that this is gonna work. But most people, I'm sure you've had this over the years. When you get to the point where you kind of need a chiropractor, you're gonna just throw the towel in and go in. And then to your surprise and relief and possibly delight, you're gonna be like, oh wow, why did I wait this long to go to the chiropractor? They didn't kill me. They didn't break my vertebrae. They actually made me feel better. So a lot of times, but in the early stages, those people are going in, they're reluctant. So I imagine you could probably counsel people that, hey, if this is their first visit or two, they still might be real suspicious and
Absolutely.
skeptical of you, period. Right. So you have to overcome that skepticism. Now we're dealing with the whole COVID thing a year in. How has that thrown a big monkey wrench into it? Because I think a lot of people are probably frightened now. Just go into the office thinking, am I going to pick up something while I'm sitting in here? Or is this stuff going to be clean? You have to demonstrably do more, I would imagine, right now. Correct?
Absolutely. You gotta play by the rules as far as that's concerned, and make it very visible. The mask, the social distancing, make sure the patients see that all the equipment is cleaned on a every patient basis, and make sure you're very visible in that. That's important. But again, going back to that new patient coming in, or those that are a little bit fearful, when you have stellar service, when they see a smiling face that first time they come into the office, and they feel that empathy, and they feel that service, that the employees are, hey, we're here to help you. Can we help you with the paperwork? What you have any questions that we can answer for you? What can we do for you? How can we make this a better experience for you? And it immediately puts them at ease and helps them to calm down. Yeah, there's some reluctance. Yeah, there's some nervousness, but you can calm that down by a significant amount just by the level of service you have. Or if your service is not so stellar, you can ramp it up a bunch too. They're already skeptical, and then the employees are treating them like crud, not paying attention to them, and not focused on them. That just makes, someone that is skeptical and nervous, raises the bar for that skepticism, and, it could potentially create a situation where that patient's not going to stick around and get the relief and the health they need, the help they need.
Yeah. Now, what about social media? I imagine over the last 10 years, especially even the last 5 more so than ever, that has become a huge thing because all it takes is one bad apple or one disgruntled, customer to go on Yelp or one of these other platforms, Facebook, in particular, and say, I had a bad experience at XYZ's place. And I know there's some good stats. You probably know them. Like most people that are satisfied don't tell people. Maybe they tell 1 or 2 people, but when you're dissatisfied, you'll tell X amount. Do you know any stats in that regard as far as how bad news travels fast?
Yeah, I mean, and that's not even a new stat. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just been around forever. Basically, when somebody is upset and feel like they've been treated badly, kind of the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So we have to be real careful of that. One of the gentlemen that I follow, John DeJulius, he's a customer service guru, and one of his saying is, it's no longer word of mouth, it's word of mouse. Meaning somebody can get on social media and throw up on Yelp or wherever they want to, Facebook, a derogatory comment or review, and how many people are going to see that. So you have to be so careful of that. Now, on the other end of that, though, I teach my clients and those that I work with that don't neglect those bad reviews.
Right.
Look at them, embrace them, because those are the ones that are going to help you be better down the road. Reach out to that person that had, a bad experience. See what happened. Is it something that is procedural? Is it something that is, that is ingrained, that needs to be addressed and fixed? Or was it just a one-time happening? Either way, you need to address those. You need to, those are like gold. You can have 50,000 5-star reviews, and that's all well and good, but that doesn't teach you much. The ones that are, the 1 star, the 2 stars, there's issues. Those are the ones that can show you where, hey, we got some issues that we need to fill in the blank. We need to fill in the holes. We need to change some things up so we can be better going forward. That's important to do as well.
Right. And unfortunately, a lot of people have a hard time saying, I'm sorry, the 2 easiest words in customer service, but also the hardest, right? What do you counsel people who are just adamant about, oh, if I get a negative review, 1 star, I'm going to try my best to delete that or ignore it and hope things go away?
Don't do that. Don't do that, because actually people that consumers that look at a website or look at reviews, they're going to be more likely to do business with a company that actually has, a couple of bad reviews, because they know there's some honesty in that. No business has just 5-star reviews all the time. There's nobody that is that good. And again, it may just be circumstantial where it just happened to be, a bad day, something happened. It's not necessarily something that's going to happen all the time, but leave those up. And again, you need to look at them as gold from a business standpoint to see, okay, is this something that we need to address and move forward with? So don't delete them. Reach out, say, I'm sorry. How can we make this better? What can we do to to regain your business? Those type of situations. That's important as well, but leave those reviews up.
Yeah, 100% agree. And the clients I work with from a social media perspective, I always counsel them on that regard too. Unless somebody, is being a real jerk online and using profanity or, not dropping the trolls of the world, I would say,
Exactly.
yeah, but to the reasonable person who says, I had a really bad experience and they, name some reasons or whatever, then by all means, address that head on and say, you know what, we're sorry, we screwed up. We slipped. We won't let it happen again. We'd like to make it better. All the things you just said, Kelly, which is so great. Well, let me ask you another question. What are some businesses that you can talk about that have been successful with providing exceptional customer service? I mean, Disney, others come to mind, but what are some of those pinnacles of success that we should all aspire to be like?
Well, like you said, Disney's probably, maybe at the pinnacle. If not, it's right there at the top. So the Ritz-Carlton is well known for their customer service, and they're in a high echelon of, not everybody gets to experience a Ritz-Carlton, but if you get a chance, you can really see how they're dialed into their customer service. Amazon was built on the foundation of exceptional customer service and making it convenient for people to do business with them. And we know how that works. Zappos is another one. They were ultimately bought out by Amazon, but they started with, having phenomenal customer service. And that's what ultimately helped them grow to the point where they were able to sell out. ChickFilA, another one here in the Texas area. If you've ever been to ChickFilA, they're famous for saying, my pleasure, and being stellar in their customer service. So that's what I like to tell my clients and those that I do presentations with. Don't take my word for this. Look at some of these other companies. Apple's another one. Look at these other companies that, they built their businesses on the foundation of serving their customers, and see where it's taken them. So this is nothing new. This isn't something that's some new philosophy or idea. It's been around for a long time, and those that really grasp hold of it and lay a good foundation of it, they're going to reap the rewards of it.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned Chick-fil-A. For those listening, it's a fast food restaurant. You get these chicken sandwiches and these waffle fries or whatever. But Kelly, like you said, they can train any 15, 16, 17-year-old to say my pleasure after just essentially anything that comes out of your mouth. Like, I don't like this, I'll fix this. Thank you. Whatever. My pleasure. But they won't say no problem or just, whatever coming out of their mouth, where every other restaurant could easily train people, but they don't take that time. Not only that, they perfect the art of things like the drive-through so that you're not, even though you drive up and you go, oh my God, the line's like 50 cars deep. That at Chick-fil-A, you're going to be in and out of there in probably 10 minutes or less, versus if you go to another place, 50 cars, you might as well leave because you're going to be there for an hour, right? Because they just don't have it dialed in. So, what is a key action that a business could start immediately that would improve their customer service?
Let me give you two. First one is, kind of like you're saying, my pleasure, train my pleasure. The easiest thing a business can do is put a smile on everyone's face. And that doesn't take a whole lot of training. It just takes some practice to do it. But a smile is the universal welcome. And when you have a smile on your face, you automatically look like you're there to help somebody out when they come to do business with you. And for me, and what I tell my clients and what we did in my offices and in my chiropractic offices was a smile was part of the uniform. Throw a smile on your face. As soon as we unlock that door for those patients to come in, let's have a smile on your face and let's keep it there for the entirety of the day. And again, my employees and, sometimes even Monday morning is kind of a hard time to smile sometimes, especially after a long weekend. You're like, okay, I gotta get in the mode of things. I used to tell them, hey, let's not wait to be happy to smile. Let's start smiling to make ourselves happy. So let's do the smile first and go from there. The second thing is what I call the bookend of experience. So we talked about, just a second ago about, a patient comes in, a client, a customer comes into a business and having that, that welcome, that smile, that greeting, and make that good first impression. And that is vital, and you need to do that. But where a lot of businesses fall is they don't have a farewell greeting and a positive note that the customer leaves on. It's just kind of, see you later type thing, or if anything's said at all. So not only do we want to have a great first impression, we want to leave a great last impression. Hey, thank you for doing business with you. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Let us know if there's anything else we can do for you, whatever the case may be. But leave that positive final impression, because really that's the impression that the consumer is going to leave with. You had the positive first impression, but if the last impression is not as good, it's going to leave them on a little bit of a down note. So you want to leave them on that high note as they're leaving as well. So those two things are really very simple to implement, but it drives up that perception that the customer will have your business in regards to better customer service.
That is awesome. I love your term that you just used, bookending the experience. And speaking of bookending, you have a new book that just came out. I'd like you to show that for those listeners who are going to watch this on the YouTube. But Define and Deliver Exceptional Customer Service by Dr. Kelly Henry. Tell us about the book and what can people get out of it and where can they get a copy of it?
Absolutely. It's basically my whole philosophy and my whole life has just been simplicity. So that's how I practice chiropractic. That's how I coach and consult now, and that's how the book is. So we just take simple ideas, rules, actions that a business can take. Like we just mentioned, a couple of the actions; those are in the book. But just a couple, or just simple actions that if a business will take hold of and do consistently, it's going to change the whole dynamic of their customer service and ultimately help them grow and profit, because that's the goal. That's what we want to do. But it's you have to have the service mindset instead of the sales mindset. So that's what it helps with. But it's just very simple ideas, principles, rules, and actions that can help transform a business as far as their customer service. You can find this book on my website, drkellyhenry.com, or anywhere that you want to buy a book from. So Amazon, Kindle, audiobooks, all those platforms will have the book for you. So I think it'd make a big difference in simple read, but make a huge difference in your business.
Outstanding. I'll have some links to all the above over at the show notes page at goforlaunch.io/show 118. So we've been speaking with Dr. Kelly Henry, who has written a new book about customer service. So give us, last parting advice for somebody who may be struggling with maybe taken it on the chin from some angry customers or worse, maybe doing something really that they screwed up and they're trying to dig out of the hole, if you will. Have you seen examples of companies that can right the ship, so to speak, even if they've had a bad incident or a bad period of time where, a lot of angry customers?
Absolutely. One thing is to know that, if you do have a lot of angry customers and issues like that, you are missing the boat. So the key to remember is if you right the ship and get the right foundation and philosophy, it minimizes not all, but the vast majority of those angry customers. So it can be done, and it's done all the time. A couple key principles that I like my clients and when I'm doing presentations for those business owners to understand. First of all, you have to remember that you are in the customer perception business. It doesn't matter what you do, what service you provide, what product you provide, you are in the customer perception business. You got to keep that in mind. And it only matters what the customer perceives as far as what your business does. So, and you're creating a perception every time they're doing business with you, whether good or bad. There's no neutral to that. So you have to be very careful of that. But you also have to remember, and this is the second philosophy, the second principle that is vital, is customer perception is driven by how you make them feel. So if you'll just have a mindset of we are going to make our customers feel their best, we're going to be the best part of their day, you don't necessarily have to have a whole lot of actions on top of that. If you can get that mindset and that attitude running in your business, it can shift things around pretty quickly. Now, I don't recommend just having that and then let it go. There's layers of things that need to be put down. But if you at least get that mindset that customer perception is driven by how you make those customers feel, and we're trying to make them feel important and valued and special. That's our goal. Let's think about how we're doing that. That can make a huge difference and make a huge turnaround for a business.
That's a great bunch of parting advice to end on. It's not about what you think they want or whatever. It's how the customer feels. And exactly. So again, you have to put yourself back in their shoes. And if that means taking off your scrubs or whatever and walking out the door and coming in and acting like a customer or sending a friend in every once in a while to say, I want your honest, opinion on how this thing is running. And they'll tell you, hey, it was slower. I didn't like it. It was cold, whatever, whatever the case may be. So you have to be willing to have a little bit of thick skin, I would think, to continually fine tune things. And like you said, you're back to golfing as a hobby, and we all know that the best golfers in the world don't rest on their laurels. They constantly have coaching.
Absolutely.
The longer they go, probably the more coaches they need to continually fine tune, and a chiropractor. So, well, amen to that, right? Well, chiropractic is your friend. So, Dr. Henry, thank you so much for being a guest on the Go for Launch podcast and sharing with us your new book, which is out now. So everybody go grab a copy of that.
Thank you, Brandon. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.